All right, let's take a look back at our group work assignment and sort of just get a quick reminder of how this is going to work. I'm going to click on the group work tab here and scroll down. And you'll see that I have a few things here about this, the information to grab the group work. Kind of go over the fact I want to keep in mind that you are required to find 4 memes. Your group is required to find 4 memes, and there is some breakdown of each group's responsibility right here. Those include things such as making sure the information and materials collected and typed up for submission, regulating who is in charge of what parts of the assignment, arranging times for the group to meet and work on the project outside of class, turning in the material on time, reporting if any group members don't pull their weight or contribute to the instructor, to contribute to me, the instructor, and asking for clarification or confirmation from the instructor about any parts you don't understand. Now, this basically all boils down here, and there's more of it we're going to cover in this syllogism. And for this semester, here are the group breakdowns, and beneath here are the due dates. Okay, now only one member of the group is going to turn this in via Moodle on May 3rd, but all members of the group who participated, who were present, who helped out, who contributed, should have their names. If they did not participate, do not have their name on the final project. If you have any issue locating or getting in contact with any members of your group, please contact me via email, and I will provide you with email contacts for those people. Now, to sort of help us out further here, let's review exactly what we're supposed to be doing, because ultimately this is about us finding memes, and what we're going to do with those memes is basically break down some identification about how memes function. For that, I'm going to turn over here to our PowerPoint, right? And so, okay, for the group project, we're going to look at and discuss what goes into making a meme function work with regards to how we, the audience, respond to it. And basically, I want to start out by the idea of reminding you that a meme is actually an enthymeme. All right, longer form. It's an Aristotelian syllogism or extension of a logical syllogism. And a logical syllogism is itself made up of 3 parts: a major premise, minor premise, and conclusion. Common example. Major premise, all men are mortal. Minor premise, Socrates is a man. Conclusion, therefore, Socrates is mortal. Now, if we're going to check this, now this is how a syllogism is, all right? If I'm checking this, I would ask you, can we all accept that all men are mortal, excluding the idea that anybody's a vampire or a Highlander? Okay, if we can agree that that is true, universally true, because I'm using the term all right? I then go on to say, okay, can we generally associate or know based on what we already know historically about Socrates that he was, or at that time was a man? Okay, if we can accept those 2 premises, then we can finally probably go ahead and accept that the conclusion that he is, because he's a man, he is also therefore mortal. All right, it's a little bit convoluted, a little bit bulky. The idea here is that we're trying to test things for truth. That's what logical syllogisms and things of that nature try to do. And this is, of course, a very common example of that. And, of course, if it didn't match up, if there was an issue, that would probably mean that it's subject to what's called a logical fallacy. All right. Now, let's take this example here, and let's play it out as if it is an enthymeme. All right. Here's our major premise, minor premise, conclusion. An enthymeme version of the same situation might look like this. Men are mortals. Therefore, Socrates is immortal. What did I leave out? See, this is how an enthymeme functions. It leaves something out. What I left out, okay, was the minor premise. I went ahead and made the assumption that my audience would already know that Socrates was a man, and therefore I didn't need to say it, which is in itself me making an enthymeme. All right. We could also easily assume or leave out the major premise that all men are mortal, and just simply say Socrates is mortal, or Socrates was mortal, if we're using the past tense more correctly. All right, I feel like most people could still accept that. It's not too much of a leap of logic, but that's it, leaving out everything but the conclusion. So here's another one I worked up, and if you don't carry guess, I worked this up back in 2016. Here's the idea behind another example of a syllogism. If all people who speak their minds are honest, Donald Trump speaks what's on his mind, therefore, because he speaks his mind, Donald Trump is honest. Of course, if I actually test that and try to test all people who speak their mind, that would fall through. All right. This is a syllogism here. The Enthymeme version one, most people acknowledge when asked. They assume, leave out, or assume the major premise. Okay. A lot of people who voted for or supported Donald Trump had that major premise here as an assumption in their head. That somehow because he spoke his mind, he was being more honest or more genuine. Okay? And it might look like because he speaks his mind, Donald Trump is being more honest maybe than other politicians, perhaps. Of course, you can do the same thing for Hillary Clinton. The idea that she's corrupt because she refuses to answer direct questions or dishonest. And again, this is relying on the fact that most of these situations, the major premise is something that an audience or some audience is bringing to the situation and assuming. Now, ultimately, what we're doing with Enthymeme is we're dealing with these ideas of what is expressed and what is repressed. All right? And this is the same thing we're doing with memes and enthymemes. An enthymeme, though, relies or cannot function properly unless you know whatever is repressed, whatever is being left out. All right? So expressed is what is directly shared to the audience openly. Repressed is what's being left out, implied, that the audience already knows and is assumed to go without saying. So if let's say we were analyzing this one. All right, and I've already done an analysis. So you're looking, here's the meme. We have Donald Trump and the words, it's Tuesday. What minority should we hate today? This is an example of what you're going to do for me for this project. 4 of these. Okay, you're going to find a meme like this, and then you're going to do the following. So I'm going to look at this meme, and now what I've got to do is I've got to reverse engineer a syllogism. All right, so remember, I've got an image of Donald Trump, and I'm working with the text, it's Tuesday, what minority should we hate today? Now, a major premise is typically going to fall within the realm of what is the most overarching, largest thing under discussion. So what I did was I came up with the idea of everyday minorities face hatred. I could have said hatred, repression, any number of ways to reframe this. I'm not looking for perfection. Minor premise. Donald Trump doesn't like minorities. Now again, that wasn't said in the meme. None of these were said in the meme at this point. Okay? These are things that are, though, in the meme in some form. Every day, Donald Trump helps spread hatred of minorities. Now, I chose to say this rather than say Tuesday. I decided to get a little bit more broader here. All right? I could have said Tuesday like every other day. It's just another day that Donald Trump helps spread hatred of minorities. I could have probably written it that way to be a little bit more specific. And actually, what's being expressed here is really simply the conclusion. And what is being left out is the major premise and the minor premise. This is what you're going to create for me. This right here. You're going to create a syllogism, and then you're going to tell me what parts of that syllogism are being directly stated in my face, and what is being left to me, the audience member, to assume, imply, or fill in the gap. You're going to do this 4 times. You're going to give me 4 memes, and for each of those memes, you're going to present me with one of these syllogisms, and then a breakdown of what was being in those syllogisms, what's being given to me, and what was not given to me. Now, of course, this one's a little bit sardonic humor here. The idea here of, here is Osama bin Laden, which you have to know that for this to work. And then you have to kind of know things, if you're the audience, you have to kind of know 2 things. First of all, you have to know what hide and seek is, which I'm sure most people probably do. But it's also important to understand why 2001 to 2011, which to just let you know, 2001 is, of course, the 9/11 attacks for which Osama bin Laden has been determined to be the mastermind. And 2011 was when he was found and executed, right, by SEAL team or Special Forces or whoever did it. Okay? So, here's how I wrote the syllogism. Again, backing up to the most broad term, hide and seek is a game or is won by a person who is not found. Osama bin Laden was at large from 2001 until he was found and killed in 2011. Therefore, conclusion, Osama bin Laden could be considered a hide and seek champion because he was at large from 2001 to 2011, something of that nature. You don't have to write it specifically like this, but notice the flow here. Always imagine the flow coming down like through a funnel. All right? My major premise is always going to be probably the most broad it can be. And of course, all I did here was define in very rough form what hide and seek is. And then I got more specific by talking more about Osama bin Laden and the whole being on the run. And then my last statement is to pull them together and to look at Osama bin Laden hypothetically could be considered as champion. And of course, again, the only thing that's being expressed here is the inclusion sometimes. Both details of the minor and major premises are being left out. All right? Those are things that, like I said, you have to be able to fill in. Because, okay, if you look at this picture, you see hide and seek champion, maybe you know who hide and seek champion, but if you don't know who Osama bin Laden is, and you don't know what the meaning of 2001 2011 is, then at best the only thing you're going to get is this, the major premise. Okay? You may not, and then you may be able to guess that part of the minor premise. You're certainly not going to get the conclusion because it, again, might not be a meme for you. So now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to go out and do this exact same stuff. You're on your own, okay?